good morning, everybody. This is Ron Wheeler, and I want to welcome you a little early to our presentation today, how to generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. I just opened the classroom a little bit early, mainly because I like to make sure that everything is working and all of the technology is good to go. Everything, of course, looks good on my end. But do me a favor, if you can hear my voice, you can see the screen. It should say how to generate 3% per month, and I'm just going to change it over to where it says on air. If you can see that, let me know just by giving me a shout out in the chat window or the question box there, or it should say chat depending on your screen. Just let me know that you can hear me and everything is working. That way I know that the class is functional. All right, looks good. All right, now we got a whole bunch of folks kind of chiming in there. Hamadi, Russ, Kim, Rudy, Pope, Larry, Kirk, Richard. All right, good deal. That's just the first ones that I could see. So good deal. Jacques and Kirk as well. Looks good. All right, awesome. So looks like the technology is working. We're going to get started here in about 3 minutes. It's just a couple minutes shy of noon on the in the Eastern time frame. I'm in Ohio, by the way, so that's why I say I'm always in the Eastern time zone. By the way, I'm just kind of wondering, while we're kind of just chatting here, what time is it by you? Anybody out west where it's still like 9 o'clock in the morning and all that kind of stuff? Just kind of wondering. Oops. All right, just doing some housekeeping here. All right, cool. I see a couple folks, you guys out west. Las Vegas. Just got back from Las Vegas a couple weeks ago. Russ, you mentioned that. 9 a.m., noon, 11, so some central time. Snow and cold in California, Sierra Mountains. Nice. Well, I'm sure it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's nice to you. I'm ready for winter. I'm ready. Rudy, 6. Oh, you must be out in Europe. Pope, you're at 9. Cool. 10, Kim. So kind of from all over the place. And then also just kind of wondering, what do you do for a living? You retired? Are you still working? Just kind of getting a nice little demographic for what I've got today. Now, the cool thing is it doesn't really matter overall. What we're going to talk about today is actually something that anybody can really do. If you're retired and you need an income source, or if you're still working like me and you want to do some trading part-time where you can draw in another income source, it ultimately doesn't really make much of a difference. But I always just like to get an idea of who's with me. All right, lots of retired folks. Lance, all right, cool. Pharmacist, retired, wow, a lot of retired. Kirk, Rudy, Pope. I kind of figured that would be that way. Retired but trade, Kim. Working but ready to retire. Retired, Theo, Steven. Cool. Like I said, I just like to get an idea of who the folks are. So it looks like you're a predominantly retired class, which is okay. Like I said, this was geared optimally towards retirement-based traders. And I hesitate to use the word traders, because every time I say traders, a lot of people imply like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be trading. It's going to be like all day long. No, not at all. Not at all. It's, this is something that you can do very hands-off, and you're going to see how that works as we go forward. All right, well, let's do this. It is noon Eastern time. Let me get my screen all ready to go here. So let's officially get started, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar. It's called How to Generate 3% per month with one option trade per week. And I'm really excited that you're here because this webinar is going to teach you my bread and butter trade. It helps me generate income. I place this trade multiple times a week personally, and I do it with all my clients. So today, I'm going to show you how you can turn 15 minutes a day into consistent monthly paychecks. And it doesn't matter what the market does. Now stay with me, because you're going to learn today what could completely transform your financial future, just like it has for me and hundreds of my students. So remember, this session is live today. It's just noon here Eastern time, 10:15, October 15th, I should say. So I do want you to interact with me during the chat. Now, in this webinar, you're going to begin seeing how you can make a paycheck averaging 3% per more month. Now, keep in mind, this is something you can do regardless of market direction. So up or down, it doesn't make a difference. You can do it if you have little to no prior experience with options. You can do it safer than buying or even selling stocks, and it's something that you can implement quickly. Now, I know it may sound too good to be true, and you might be thinking, is this legit? And you'd probably want some proof. I would too if I were you, Because, I see those annoying, overhyped advertisements of the guys. They're standing next to their Lamborghinis and their private jets and their Airbnbs that they rented. Yeah, secrets out, influencers. I'm not like that. I like to let the results stand for themselves and let you decide. Now, here's a look at how we did, or how we're doing so far, I should say, in 2025. So I trade a real money account with my clients. I have $100,000 in capital that I trade. And the paycheck system, we trade live every week. So we're up about $21,000 so far without October being counted. We got some winning trades in October that we've got to add in there too. So we're up around 21% for the year with about a 57% win rate. I take about 8 to 10 trades per month typically, and it's something, again, that you can do pretty quick. And you can even bring this down to 1 trade per week on something like the S&P 500. It really is a beautiful thing. So it's not just theory. These are real trades that I place with my clients every single day. And we're going to teach you how to do this. Okay? Now, one of my more recent students sent me this email. He said, Ron, wanted to send a quick email to thanking your team for the SPX Paycheck course in September. I've been using the method, tracking my performance and results, and thought you'd like to see them. So entered his first 35 Delta trade on September 21st with only $5,000 in my margin account. Now, less than 3 months later, I'm already up 24.9%. Thanks again. I'll be teaching this method to my retired in-laws to help them grow their account in retirement. And listen, I love hearing that. And there's also a lesson in here for you as well. You don't need to dedicate $100,000 to this. You can start small while you learn and practice, because it builds up quickly. In fact, we recommend that you start small. Start with like a $5,000 account. But if you average 3% per month, compounded over 15 years, that's going to put you over $1 million. And if you started with $25,000, you'd be near $1 million after 10 years. You're looking at some serious money. Now, clearly, if you have more than $5,000 or $25,000, you're going to get there a lot faster. Now, some of my clients were kind enough to share their photo and their results with you, and we're going to talk about a few of them today. And these are real people just like you. And as I teach you the system today and share their stories, pay attention, because you might find that you're in a very similar position now as they were when they started. Now, I mentioned earlier, my name is Ron Wheeler, and I'm the option income coach here at VectorVest. I've been doing this now for 28 years. So when I first started out, though, like a lot of traders, I started out with a rough start. I was a commodities trader, and I kind of lost my first couple accounts until I got settled in. After about a year and a half, I got settled in. I had some really good tutors. I basically came into the trading industry from IT. So it was in their best interest to get me trading properly, and they did. It took me a little bit of time to get trading properly, but I finally overcame that hurdle and became a pretty darn good commodities trader. Now, I was never really into options. Options were something that I didn't like. And I didn't like options because I thought that there was too many moving components, right? I always heard the horror stories of, hey, options, you get the trade right, but because you do an option, you screw up and you lose money. I believe that. Now, what changed my mind on that is one of our clients came to our office and kind of visited us. He was in the area, but he was an options trader. And more importantly, he actually was an options trader for a hedge fund. So he traded options commercially. And he kind of dispelled a lot of my fear of options, and he got me really interested in that. He showed me how options were actually designed to decrease risk overall. He showed me how to be an option seller where I can put probability on my side. That means I can make money even if I'm wrong on direction. And he also showed me how using option spreads can limit your risk. Now, at that point, I was a really good commodities trader. I'd been trading commodities profitably for probably 5 years by that point. But he really kind of opened my eyes to what options were about. So I started dabbling with options. And lo and behold, 7, 8 years later, I really started transitioning all of my trading to options, where I'm basically doing 99% options trades at this point on stocks, on indexes. I dabble with commodities a little bit still. But think of what options can do. It takes a lot of pressure off you. You can use these things and make money even when you're wrong on the trade. And you can control risk very, very easily right up front. Now, I'm going to take you on a very similar journey as he took me on. I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'm going to show you case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this. And I'm going to show you our system so that if you learn and follow the strategy, you can do the exact same thing. And do me a favor, stay with me to the end because there's a lot of great information in today's webinar and it's going to benefit you. If you stay with me, I put together a little checklist to help you plan out your trade. It's a PDF. I'll put it right in the handout section. Go to webinar. I'm going to drop it right in there. You can click on it, print it out today. Just remind me when we get to the Q&A because most of the time I forget. Now also, I like to interact during the webinar. We've been doing it so far. We talked about the time, what we did for a living, that kind of stuff. There's going to be several times throughout the webinar I'm going to ask you questions. So let's interact back and forth. I've also got several members of my team here with me today. So like I said, it's a live webinar. If you have a question, type it in there. We'll see it. We'll answer it, myself or one of my colleagues. Now, there's only so much that we can cover in an hour. So throughout the session, I'll be mentioning some things that you can do after the webinar if you want to continue your education and start implementing this quicker. Now, we're going to talk more about it at the end, but I guarantee this will be an hour of packed information. So if you're good with that and you're ready, do me a favor. I just want to make sure you're still there. Type a yes in the chat box for me and say you're ready to go. You just type in a yes. You have to say ready to go. All right, let's do it. I like it, Kirk Pope and Marguerite. Awesome. Cool beans. All right. Now, why is this so important? It's important because without an income system, financial stress is your constant companion that creates a number of problems for us. You may feel stuck working longer than you planned, or you're stressed worrying about running out of money. You might be depleting your savings faster than you can fill it, especially with how prices have gone up so much, right, in the last couple of years. If things don't improve, you may fear you'll continue to have losses that draw down your account. You're going to get behind on your goals, maybe even question your ability as an investor. You might even fear you'll have to give up on investing and go back to work. But worst case scenario, you're going to run out of money during retirement. Now, with the options paycheck system, this is going to help you generate income and break free of that. It's designed to help you generate consistent, safe income in less than 15 minutes a day. And I think this is the most important part of the webinar. So pay attention, write this down. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. To be financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say it again. In order to become financially free, you need to learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So whether you're still working or you're retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Because when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like if you had a second job. If you're retired, you can have a consistent source of income as if you quit your job, but you still get that paycheck. It's like a tap that you can turn on whenever you need. That's going to allow you to do the things you want to do now and when you retire. So when you've got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire younger. Now, as I said, I think this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'll say it again. When the income from your investments exceeds your living expenses, you become financially free. Now, here's an example. Brian's a client of ours. He kind of shows how easy it is, even if you don't have a lot to invest to begin with. He had some health problems and wanted a way to supplement his income. Now, he used our options paycheck system on the S&P 500, and he said he was able to generate $23,000 in profit with just $6,000. He said he had 100% winning trades in 10 months. That's pretty incredible. He said he had 31 out of 31 winning trades using our basic system. Now, I want you to think about this because the key point here is this. It's not beginner's luck that did that. It was the result of him following a system that gave him $23,000 in profit starting with just $6,000. Now that system requires a strategic mindset shift. So if you want to generate income with options, we got to have this mindset shift. You're either going to continue being a gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Being the option seller is the way that you can make consistent income. This is what allows you to win even when you're wrong. Now, the reason you want to be the casino or the house is that, well, number one, the house always wins. Number two, the house always wins because they control and stack probability in their favor. Okay? The options paycheck system is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. So make a note of this. If you want to control your returns and your results, you need to know how to stack probability in your favor. And the obvious question is, well, how do we do it? Well, the first step is that shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of that shift from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking probability in his favor. He said prior to working with us, he had mainly taken stock tips from his broker. Now, he focused on our SPX income system, and this is our most basic trading system. He said he's not the most technical person in the world, but in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from 100,000 to 497,000 in 3.5 years. He said he's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And that whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. This is an example of a typical trade you've been taught to make. You find a stock you like, you think it's going to go up, so you either buy shares of it or you buy a call. Now, why do you buy a call option? Well, mainly because when you started learning options, it's what you were always taught to do. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up, maybe it doesn't go up enough, and that call you bought ends up expiring worthless. For those of you that have traded options before, you don't have to answer this, but has that ever happened to you? Yes? Well, what's the problem that's causing you to lose? Most people feel that maybe they picked the wrong stock. Maybe it was the wrong option strike price, or maybe they chose an expiration too short or too long. But the real problem, if you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not your fault. It's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option. But as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing and buying and losing and buying and losing. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. This is how you get ahead of everyone else. This is how we put probability on our side. This is how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. Now, as a buyer, a typical trade is going to give you a 50-50 chance to be a winner, right? Because when you buy something, or even when you sell short, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. So instead of having that buyer's mentality, we're going to shift into a seller's mentality. Instead of hoping the stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trades using probability. Probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock just to go in your direction, in this case, we think the stock is going to go up, we pick a price below the stock and say, hey, all it needs to do is stay above this point. And what does that do? That gives you opportunity to make money whether the stock goes up, sideways, or it can even come down a little and you can still make money. So right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. And you can increase that probability even more. You simply choose a lower price, which gives you a bigger area where you can be right. Now, we do a lot of trades that start off with about a 70% chance of statistical success. And you can only do this as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor. This is the definition of an income trade. And again, how are we doing this? Because we're putting a trade together where we can make money whether the stock goes up, sideways, or even down some. That's what an income trade is. It's one where you can make money even if you're wrong on direction. Now, you remember Bruce? He still trades with us every week. He's in my coaching plan. In fact, he posted in our private group a while back and said, another day of trading on the beach. Got my eyes on AMC and cold beer. Life's good. Thank you, VectorVest and Ron, for giving us the tools to do what we do from anywhere. That's a great picture of being financially free. Now, Mike, he was someone who dabbled with options but said he lost on each trade. Have you ever been there? Mike's situation was exactly why I never traded options to begin with, because that's what I thought too. But can you imagine how frustrating that must be to lose on every one of your trades? Eventually, he stopped. He went back to the books, tried to learn more about options, but he said he never felt comfortable. He knew what he was doing. He had all this, I guess you could say, knowledge, but no criteria of where and when to use it. So we worked together. I taught him the options paycheck system of being an option seller, and he told me he became like an income machine. He said after he implemented the system, he had 17 out of 19 winning trades, the profit of over 12 grand in 4 months. Now, again, the key lesson here is going from buyer or gambler to becoming a seller. This is what turned his situation around. He even sent me some of his trade results. Take a look here. Look at, first off, for those of you that are worried about, it's day trading, stuff like that, it's not. His average number of days to close is about 7 days. 7 days, 5 days, 4 days, 2 days, 7, 7, 10. Look at the profits. 1,100, 1,400, 1,100, a couple down here that were some stocks, 1,200, 1,100. He had one loss here that was a little larger than normal, and then a loss there. A lot more winning trades than losing trades. Pulling in about $1,000 every week. Okay? Now, one trade that we do focused on the S&P 500, and a lot of my clients do this as their first trade. This is something that has averaged, again, one trade per week. And over the last decade, about 2.3% per month. So you're not just learning how to trade options. You're creating a future where your income grows without adding hours to your day. Imagine turning your financial stress into confidence, knowing that your money's working harder than ever, even when you're not. And the thing here is this. We're not looking for one big home run trade to become a millionaire overnight. We're growing our account safely and steadily each year. And that's the key takeaway here. We're not looking for the home run trade. We're looking for those singles, right? It's baseball playoff season, so it's a good analogy. We're looking for singles. These singles are what will enable you to not run out of money. It's going to enable you to take those small wins and do those things that you want to do in your life. Okay? So now that you've seen by flipping from buyer to seller, you can stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to stack the odds even further by understanding and capitalizing on the 3 most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. Now, mistake number 1 is that option buyers choose unrealistic strikes. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has very little chance of hitting it. Here's what I mean by this. You've got a stock. The stock's $216 a share. You can kind of see it right over here in the corner, right? So when you buy an option, typically you're supposed to buy an option kind of near where the price of the stock is. But those are kind of expensive sometimes, right? So what a lot of times buyers do is they'll go way up here and they'll buy an option. They'll buy like a $230 strike price call. Now, why would you do that? Because that option up there is really, really inexpensive. It's cheap. You might be able to buy that for like $100. Think about that. You're controlling 100 shares of a $200 company for like $100, right? But you're only going to make money if this stock goes past 230. You're basically betting that the stock's going to rise over $18 a share. Well, guess what? Most of the time, those options are losers. That's the lottery mentality to playing options, okay? We don't do that. The stock has a very small chance of going up that far, right? That's kind of, again, like the lottery ticket, right? Yeah, the Mega Millions is like $600 million right now, right? So what do? You throw $5 at it. That's a lottery play. This is not how you generate income, right? That's why when you look at your 401k or your IRA, there's no like Mega Millions fund that they put it into, right? That's the lottery. You don't do that. Yeah, you might play for fun occasionally, but it's not how you create successful income trading. Now listen, there's always going to be buyers out there buying those options. You may as well be the one who sells it to them. Because when we sell these options, we have a high probability of winning. Okay? These trades have a low probability. Like if you bought that option, it has a very low probability of hitting 230. If we sell that option to them, that gives me a high probability of winning the trade. The stock never goes that high. Now the same goes for puts. There's a lot of people who buy puts below the price of the stock because they think it's going to go down, or maybe they're using it as a cheap insurance for their underlying stock position. Listen, it doesn't matter. There's always buyers out there buying these options. You may as well be the one who sells it to them, because when you sell them these options, you're giving yourself a 60 to 90% probability of success right from the very start of the trade. Okay? Now, The second mistake that buyers make is choosing an expiration date that's too close to the current date. It's like when you go to the grocery store and see a piece of steak on the discount rack. It's cheap, but it will be worthless really, really soon. Okay? And the same is true for options. Here's you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days till expiration. So you've got 180 days to expiration up here in the upper left. You got expiration date down to the right. Lots of value up here, no value down here. Well, what happens is for the first like 135 days, the option loses its value slowly and slowly and slowly. Then about right here in the final 45 days, that time decay becomes exponential. It's losing value big time every single day. Well, what happens is a lot of option buyers, this is where they kind of focus their option buying. Why? Because the premiums are a little bit cheaper. Well, the premiums are cheaper, sure, but they're also losing their value very, 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 very quickly. So what we want to do is we want to sell options in that window. Now, to be more specific, we're going to sell options 21 to 45 days away. Okay? That's our sweet spot. The premium is still nice and juicy. You're still a little bit away from expiration. You're still going to get that time decay. You're going to get more probability and more profits in that 21 to 45 day range. Let me put it on a graph for you guys. This happens to be Home Depot. It doesn't really matter what the stock is or where a date. It doesn't really make a difference, right? Let's say you're bullish on Home Depot, right? Let's say you go out maybe a month, month and a half out and buy an option. Well, it doesn't matter because in that last month, month and a half, that time decay is killing the price of your option. Okay? It's killing the price of your option. What you want to do by being a seller is let that decay work in your favor. If I own something for $1,000 and it's losing $100 a day in value, that's bad. But if I sold something for $1,000 and it's losing $100 a day and I get to buy that back and close out my position, that's a good thing, right? So as a seller, that rapid decay is good for you. That's what we do. There's always going to be people out there buying options that have those expiration dates too close. Let them be the one who sells the options. Let them be the gambler. You're going to be the casino because you're always going to win in the end. Now, the third mistake that buyers make is they simply pay too much. They buy overpriced options. So let me show you what I'm talking about with this. In the top here, you see stocks that are about the same price. One's like 76.24, one's like 76.36. They're basically within like 10 cents of each other, right? But even though these stocks have the same price, their option premium is way different. Over on the left, you've got a $900 premium, $9.10. One option contract controls 100 shares. So that would cost you $910 to buy that call. Over on the right, it's going to cost you $180 to buy that call. And there's no trick here. It's the same expiration. The stocks are the same price. The strikes are the same. So there's nothing tricky going on here. Okay? Why is the one on the left over 4 times more expensive? It's because over on the left, there is very, very high implied volatility. That leads to options being really expensive. And buyers who buy those options are simply paying too much. Well, what's the big deal, right? It's only money, right? It's like when you go to the store. I always use the strawberry analogy for this because my kids love strawberries. I like buying my kids strawberries when they're $2 a pint. When they're $6 a pint, I don't like buying strawberries. Now, my kids don't care, right? A $6 strawberry tastes just as good as the $2 strawberry, and they're going to eat them and the outcome is still the same. But here's the problem. When you talk an option and you talk an option's really expensive, here's what can happen. Let's pretend both stocks go up $8 per share. All right? Think about that. You bought 100 shares of each stock, you just made $800. But you're using options now. You want to, use the leverage, use the beauty of an option, right? Over on the left, that trade actually lost money. You got direction right, but you actually lost money. Whereas over on the right-hand side, that $180 option is now $720 profitable. I mean, you made like 400% your money. Why is it so different? It's because over on the left, as the buyer, you paid too much. The volatility was way too high. You missed it. Now, think about what we're talking about here. We're talking about how to turn option buying mistakes into probability for us. Well, we're going to take those options like you see on the left, and we're going to sell them. When you sell things that are expensive, it's good, right? When we sell these expensive, overpriced options, this can increase our probability and increases the amount of money we can make. And here's even better, it decreases the loss as well if we're wrong. We're going to look for these expensive, overpriced options, and we're going to sell them. Now, another one of our clients, Bob, he's got one of the most interesting stories I've seen. He said prior to working with us, he was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he said he ended up either broke or bankrupt 3 times. In his own words, came close to living under a bridge. Now, the options paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, Bob grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79% winning trade percentage. Remember, in order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. So, I want you to think about this. Have any of you ever made any of those buyer's mistakes? Do me a favor, type a yes or no in the chat box. I'm just kind of curious. Okay. Yeah, I see lots of yeses. Plenty. Hamadi, Theo, Robert, Richard. Yes. Ronald. Of course. Early on. I like it. If you made them early on, but you're not making them anymore, that's good. Right? Listen, we've all made these mistakes for the most part. Maybe it was early on. Maybe it's still making these mistakes. It's not our fault. We weren't just taught properly how to use options. Now that you know you want to be an option seller and you'll avoid and capitalize on the very common mistakes that buyers make, let's look at how to trade options with very little risk. Because when a lot of people hear the word options, then especially when you say selling options, they immediately go into like protective mode. They like go into their shell, right? Oh, it's too risky. The options paycheck system uses a low risk strategy for selling options. And this is why it's a core strategy we teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk so important? Because most people who don't use the options paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. They can have one bad trade wipe out all the gains from a bunch of winners. That's not going to work. It's not how you make money. When that happens, it's very, very difficult. It takes a long time to recover your losses. So when we do this and you do it right with the right system, we're going to have a built-in protection plan. You're going to take care of risk management before you even open the trade. That's going to allow you to preserve and grow your capital. When you can select good stocks, you set up your trades in the right way that reduce risk, you preserve and grow your capital. Remember, I talked about this earlier, right? Home runs look good, but singles are how we win the game. Now, one of the most common questions I get asked is, can I trade this from my IRA? Well, one of our clients, John, he actually does this in his IRA. It's called a limited margin IRA, and pretty much every broker has this. You just got to make sure you're set up for it. He gained over 112% in 1 year using the paycheck system. He said he had tried and struggled with trading for a long time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades and more than double the size of his IRA while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. So let's talk about this a little bit deeper. The options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk before you even open the trade. First, you're going to choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, kind of similar to what you see here. Then, instead of selling stocks or options naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do that. Now, a traditional option selling system leaves you with all of this risk down here. Okay? The options paycheck system shrinks your risk to just this. So let's show how this works. This again is a graph of a typical stock you'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph, so it's understandable why you'd want to be bullish on something like this, right? Now, traditionally, people would go out and they just buy the stock. Or maybe they buy an option, maybe they buy a call, but now they're using the right strike price. They're setting it up right where the stock price is. But remember, you're not the buyer anymore. We're going to be the seller. So here's what we're going to do. If we think a stock is going to go up, we are going to go underneath the price of the stock and we are going to sell a put. Okay? So in this example, stock's about 138. I go down to 135 and I sell a put and I get paid for that. I'm selling something, so you get paid. In this case, $200. If I did 10 contracts, I get paid $2,000. Now that's great, right? But remember, when you sell a put, right, that's going to be a trade for you. It's like when you sell short a stock, right? The stock goes up and down, the value of the option, the value of the premium, everything changes. If you sell a put and the stock goes down, you can be left with all of this risk. And you could take one of those big losses that can really hurt you. So what we need to do is get some downside protection. We're going to use a built-in protection plan. We sold the 135 put. We're going to go a little bit lower and we are going to buy a put as insurance. That's going to lock in our risk to just this amount right here. Now, that protection plan costs money. To buy it, you're going to use some, but not all of the money you receive from selling the put. So in this case, I received $200 when I sold the put. I'm going to use half of that in this example, and I'm going to buy a put as insurance. It's going to cost me $100. So now I get paid to place this trade $100. That's the most profit I can make on this trade. I can make $100. If I did it with 10 contracts, I can get paid $1,000. That's going to be my maximum profit on the trade. Again, now you've placed a trade that makes money if the stock goes up. Well, big deal, right? I can buy the stock and do that. But now I have a trade where I also make money if the stock goes sideways. And better yet, the stock can even come down a little bit and I still make money. As long as the stock stays above 135, I will make money on this trade. Now here's the kicker, and you can remember this. If the stock drops below 135, I'll exit the trade and I'll take a small proportional loss. Okay? That's how we set these trades up. Now, let's do this. I want to set the trade up. I want to kind of walk you guys through this. So I'm going to do this, the trade I did with my clients. All right. I'm going to be showing you some numbers now, giving you some pro tips. So pay attention. But the first thing is, when the market is bullish, we're going to be placing bullish income trades. And vice versa. If the market happened to be bearish, we'd be placing bearish income trades. Haven't had much bearish behavior lately. Not since the beginning of the year. We had a little bit of it here just now, but nothing confirmed. Now, if you remember earlier, I told you we are going to sell options 21 to 45 days to expiration. Here's another tip. We're going to pick an option strike that has at least a 60% probability of winning. Now, here's a trade. DRI, Darden Restaurants, okay, from earlier this year. Now, Darden Restaurants looks like it's going up, right? It's in an uptrend. On May 12th, it was around $203 a share. Based on VectorVest analysis, we expect this stock to continue to go up. So now here's what we do. The stock's 203. All right. What I'm going to go do is I'm going to go into my broker. I'm going to look at my options available for this. I'm going to look for puts that expire in the next 21 to 45 days. And here's the neat thing. When I look at the puts in my broker or an Options Pro, the number or the strike price of the put is going to have a probability associated with it. Okay. Here's what this looks like. So if I went out there on this $203 stock and I sold a $200 put, which is right below the price of the stock, right? You see that little black space right there? If I sell a $200 put, I have a 55% chance of staying above that to expiration. If I go down a little bit farther and I sell a 195 put, that gives me a 64% chance of staying above that. that means statistically I have a 55% chance of winning on this trade. At B, I would have a 64% statistical chance of winning. Or C, all the way down to 185, I would have an 80% statistical chance of winning. Now, let me ask you guys a question. In the chat box, tell me which one you'd rather do. If I gave you a choice and you had no other knowledge other than I can be 55% right, 64% right, or 80% right, which one would you choose? No other options knowledge. All right, yeah. I mean, some of you guys, Lance, Kim, Hamadi, Richard, Tony, yeah, Mark, you're choosing 80%, right? And why wouldn't you? Who wouldn't want to be 80% right? Well, like everything in life, too much of something is not good. Heck, water's good for you, right? It was kind of funny. I was watching a comedian she said she's kind of a conspiracy theorist. She's like, the doctor told me I should drink 8 glasses of water a day. And she's like, why? What's in it? What are you trying to do? I thought that was funny. Anyway, right? But water, 8 glasses a day. If you drank 100 glasses a day, you're probably going to die, right? I don't remember what the term for that is. My wife would tell me because she's in medicine, but I don't remember that term. But wine, right? You drink red wine. It's supposed to be good for you. If you drink 6 bottles a day, your liver's probably going to explode, right? Too much of anything is probably bad. Too much probability is not good. Because what would you think if I told you could be 80% right on your winning trades, you make $100, but on your losing trades, you lose $1,000? What good is that? 8 out of 10 times you make $800, or you make $800 total, but those 2 losers are going to cost you $2,000. That's not good. That's why everything in moderation. What we want to do is be around that 60% probability level. 55 doesn't give us enough probability. 64 is pretty much just right. Okay? That's generally where we want to stay. This is the kind of trade that's going to be right 6 out of 10 times. For every winning trade, you'll make $100. Maybe for every losing trade, you lose 100. This is where that sweet spot is at. So this trade was done again back in May. It's called a bull put spread. All right. Why bull put spread? Well, we're bullish. We think the stock's going to go up. Puts, because we're using puts in this instance. We're selling a 195 and then we're buying the 190 as our insurance. And spread, because it's 2 different options, spread $5, right? And again, that trade has a built-in protection plan. Your real risk on this trade was only $98 per options contract. And it's actually, probably even less than that. Now, how did this trade ultimately work out? Well, it went up for a while, but then it came down steeply, right? Basically came down right to where we entered the trade, but it didn't matter because we had all this space to be wrong. And then after about 2 weeks total, about 10 trading days, guess what? It returned us about $700 profit in 2 weeks. That's the beauty of this. All right? So that's the beauty here. Now, when the market's bearish, we can place bearish trades too. This was back earlier in 2023 when the market was actually in a prolonged downtrend. This is an example of Target. I don't have any recent downtrend examples because we haven't really been in a downtrend in a while, but you win if Target stays below that price, right? So right now we're at $130. Now the only difference here is this. Instead of looking down, I think the stock is going to continue going down. So now what I have to do is I have to go above the stock and look at some prices up here. So what do I see? I see that if I sell a 135, it gives me about a 64% chance of success. If I go up to B, which is 140, I get about 76%. If I go up to 145, I get about an 85% chance of being right. Now, we can pretty much just cancel that one out because, as we know, too much of a thing is not that great. Now, let me ask you a question. Knowing what you know now, which option do you think is correct? A, B, or C? Now, remember, while you're typing this in there, here's the idea. I think the stock is going to continue to go down. So I'm picking my line in the sand. I want to be able to make money if it goes down, sideways, or up some. Should it be up to here or should it be up to here? Hey? All right. I see lots of folks answering C, 64%. Rolando, Kirk, Ronald, Theo, Tony, Russ. Now, that's a good option, and that's absolutely correct. However, in this particular example, I was actually able to go to B, 76%. Now, why was I able to get to 76% in this one and not the other one? Remember earlier we talked about expensive, overpriced options? When you can find really expensive options, you're able to expand that probability a little bit more. So for those of you that said 64%, you're absolutely right. That is a viable trade where you'd choose it from and be happy. But in some cases, we can actually go a little bit higher. Now, what's going to control that? The risk of the trade. I want to make sure that if I'm 76% probable of being right, I want to make sure that those trades that are wrong 24% of the time aren't going to take out all of my gains. So really, this is all a matter of balancing probability and balancing risk control. That's what being an option seller is all about. How do we balance probability? Well, we use the probability of an option. How do we get more probability? We use things like market timing, picking the right stocks. And then we balance our risk control, which is all known up front. Now, this trade's called a bear call spread. Okay? We're selling a 140 call and we're buying as insurance the 145. Okay? Bearish because you do it when the market's bearish, calls because we use calls, and then spread again because we have those two prices. Now, this trade didn't really do a whole lot. We got into the trade basically right here, and after 7 trading days, it went down a little bit, but that little bit was enough to trigger our preset profit target. Now, when we go into these trades, we're going into them for a profit target. We're not just letting them expire or anything like that. We're going into them with a designated profit target. Now, listen, if you don't understand all the mechanics right now, it's okay. Remember, we're going to teach you how to do this properly. You're creating a future where your income's going to grow without adding hours to your day. But if you're still kind of like, I don't exactly understand this, it's okay for right now. You'll get there. Now, another client I worked with is Jim. He said prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent and he felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something else out there that was better. Have you ever felt that way? Like there's something more out there? He said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing would provide more of a regular income with a higher probability of success. He said again, after learning the system, he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. His average trade, only 8 days. Can you imagine how that must feel to going from inconsistent to where all your trades are generating income? And I want you to think about that. If you were able to implement an income system that could do this, average, let's say 3% per month, maybe even 2% per month, right? That's still 24% per year. That's good. What would that allow you to do in your life? Retire sooner. I saw some of you said you're ready to retire. Retire a little bit earlier, right? Take more trips. Take care of the grandkids, right? Set up trust funds. Help your 50-year-old sons that, know how to trade and, I'm just kidding. But anyway, that would allow you to open up your life to a lot more great things. And again, we said before that buying is gambling. Selling is about controlling risk and putting the odds of success in your favor to generate income. The paycheck system makes sure you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And it all goes back to whether you'd rather be the gambler or the casino. Because keep in mind, the house always wins in the end, right? Becoming that option seller, this is the path to consistent income. This is how we do it safely. This is how we do it with a higher probability of success than just going out there and buying and selling stocks. Now, let's put this together. And I want to show you how you can have a bulletproof system, which you can do in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, my students who have implemented the system have told me this is the most important thing they learned. Why? Because one of the biggest things people ask me is how much time is it going to take me? And it's a great question. Well, here's the challenge in front of you. There's thousands of stocks out there. You got to find how to pick the right stock, the right strategy, when do you get in, what expiration, what price, what do you do if it goes against you, when to get out. And if that sounds like a massive run-on sentence, that means you can't find trades easily, right? You think it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack because there's so much out there, you don't know where to look. And it takes hours to source a trade. You go from guru to guru. You watch CNBC all day. Ultimately, without a system, you're trading blindly. You're like that mouse running through a maze, bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful. It's disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades and get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, if you think you're too busy, remember this. Time is your most valuable resource. And the system requires, at base, just 15 minutes a day. And it's designed to give you back control of your time and money. Imagine what you could do with all that extra freedom. Now, to get that, though, you need a system, and not just any system. A straight line system. A simple way to know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, and how to manage them. So let me walk you through the steps of our options paycheck system. Step number 1 is market direction. A lot of traders ignore this. They just go out and start placing trades. You're going to be placing trades that are either bullish or bearish, and you have to have a way to know the market's direction. Now today, we talked about a bullish trade, we talked about a bearish trade. Remember, we can do this up or down. But by doing this, we're going to be narrowing our focus, right? So in bullish markets, we're only looking for bullish stocks. In bearish markets, we're only looking for bearish stocks. One of two possible scenarios. Now the paycheck system has a timing signal built in. That's how we tell us market's direction. Now, after you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to select stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. Now, just trading the stocks you know, listening to gurus on TV, it's not the best choice for this. What you want to do is find good stocks already in uptrends when the market's rising, bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Our options paycheck system saves a lot of time in two ways. We're going to look at two main things, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches in the VectorVest system. That way you can use those, get the data quick. That way you're not digging through all the data that the institutions throw at you. Once you have a list of stocks, you want a way to select the best ones for options trading. Remember earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had on the options price? Well, the paycheck system focuses on selling options with volatility in the upper end of the range, but we don't stop there. To take out more risk, we're going to filter out those with upcoming earnings and make sure the expiration date is in that sweet spot. Now, you can find tools from a broker to help you. We happen to have a search tool that finds these things in just a matter of seconds for us. Now we set the trade up. We have to pick the one that gives us the highest probability of success, just like I showed you based on the strike prices, but we also have to make sure that it has the best possible risk to reward ratio. Because again, what good is being 80% right if one losing trade wipes out all your wins? Risk reward is a very critical component of this. That's something that we make sure is proper right from the very start of the trade. There are going to be trades that look good to you that you're going to have to pass up because the risk reward is not good. Not every trade is going to be a viable option income candidate. Then we've got the trade picked out. We've got the risk mapped out. We're ready to go. Now you need to know what to do if the trade goes for you or against you. I don't want you sitting in a trade feeling frozen like a deer in the headlights because you don't know what to do. Our paycheck system has rules to take profits at predefined levels. We can set these up in advance with your broker. If a trade goes against us, we have an adjustment strategy that we teach that can help offset any losses. And we also know when to exit a trade with a loss. And in some cases, I can even set that order up in advance with my broker. That way, when the stops come in, they're very unemotional and it's kind of an automatic process. So lastly, you want a way to do this quickly. You don't want to be spending all day in the process. So you need something that allows you to do these things. It should be something you're comfortable using. Now, some brokers have tools that are better than others. You might find some paid tools to be effective. We use a proprietary tool from VectorVest called Options Pro. That saves us a ton of time. Now, earlier we talked about Mike and Jim. Each of them is getting the results, like we said, in about 15 minutes a day. Well, so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that not only worked, but was efficient as well. He didn't want to sit in front of his screens for 8 hours a day. He didn't have that proper work-life balance, right? Not enough time spending his life, too much time spending his time trading. Are you like that too? Do you spend too much time on the things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time. He's able to have more fun. He said in his first 43 trades, he had 38 winners and returned over 26 grand in 4 months. So I want you to do this. I want you to take your pen. I want you to put a little star next to the part of the system where you're already good at. So let's say, you already have a good way of finding stocks that are likely to go in the direction of the market. Put a star for market direction and stock finder. But maybe you've not had success with options. Put a little frowny face by option selection and trade setup. Don't overthink it. I want to give you about 10-15 seconds and give yourself a grade on what part of the system you're good at and what part you need to be trained on or need a little bit more work at. All right. I'm willing to bet maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. So let me ask you, what areas do you need to work on? Tell me in the chat, what areas are you needing to work on in your options life? Selection, Kirk says. Trade management, Theo. All of them. Stock selection, Kim, Randy. Tools for speed, Rolando. Okay, great. Determining risk reward, Richard, Rudy. Now you guys are really pouring them in there. I'm not going to be able to read them all. Lance, option selection, trade selection, Ronald, Sharon, all of them. And if I read your name and don't type the right response, they're flying by. I'm sorry. Robert, trade management, tools for speed, Pope, trade management. Well, listen, the end result of this is we've got to get it to where you have little stars all the way down. Because when we do that, you're going to be able to do it in less than 15 minutes a day. Now, I don't know the exact reasons you came to today's webinar, but let's make a few guesses here. Okay? Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly. You're bumping into one wall into the next. It left you with inconsistent results. You make a little bit of money, but then giving it all back on your next trade. Just like Jim did before he learned the options paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now today, I showed you the secrets to fixing that. And again, it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw by being an option seller, you can make money even if you're wrong. With insurance, you can do it with very little risk, even less risk than buying stocks or selling stocks. You saw the system that's going to help you generate that consistent income every month. And I showed you just a few of the many people who use the system every day so they never have to worry about retirement again. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler to being the casino. Remember, you're going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows the secret. That means there's 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options, making all the mistakes we talked about. You can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those investors out there who will buy options incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as they're out there, you may as well be the casino, because remember that old saying, the house always wins in the end. The options paycheck system teaches you how to stack the probability of success in your favor. Just like Brian did, and Bruce, and Bob, and Jim, and Hugh, and John, and thousands of others. Okay? So by now you've seen how the system works. You've heard others say, just like you, who've achieved that financial freedom. So the question's no longer, can it work? It's, are you ready to make it work for you? So let me walk you through how to get started today. If you're like most people, you're wondering, how do I implement this in my portfolio? Well, you have a choice. Option number one is you can choose to do absolutely nothing and stay exactly where you are. And if you already have enough money to retire, you're not worried about running out of money, then maybe you don't need the options paycheck system. But if you'd like to make some extra income every month, that leaves you with two other options. Number two is you can try to do it alone. Learn how the option trades work, try to figure out the direction of the market, learn how to analyze the thousands of stocks to find the best ones to trade, hope you pick the right one, you manage it correctly. You know, if you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. But option three is to let us guide you through it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you're going to have a simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. So, ask yourself, what's going to be easier for you? There's two types of people. Person number one is someone who dreams about their financial goals but never takes action to do anything to make them happen. Okay? Person number two is someone who's serious about their financial future. You're ready to take action when you see a good opportunity in front of you. Since you're dedicated enough to be with me to this point, I'm willing to bet you're person number two, and that's going to make you perfect to get started on that first options paycheck. So let me tell you what we put together for you. The Options Paycheck Experience is the most comprehensive program for generating consistent income using option spreads. even if you've never traded an option before. The Options Paycheck Experience is the only implementation program of its kind that teaches you the secret to generating consistent income with options. And the reason that is because we're going to show you exactly how to find, set up, and manage option spreads. We're going to teach you how to fish and do this right to generate income. And you're going to learn how to do it safely and consistently no matter the market condition. That way you never have that fear of running out of money. After going through the experience, you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work, along with all the fancy terms you need to know. That way you no longer have to fear options. You're going to get clear signals telling you when to trade or when not to trade. Okay? We'll go bullish or bearish. You're going to be able to quickly identify the stocks that make the best candidates for your option income trades using a rules-based approach. And that's going to free up a lot of time in your life. You're going to set up option income trades that give you a base 60% success rate. You're going to have a trade management game plan in place prior to placing your trade. That way you know how to handle any situation the market throws at you. You're going to be able to confidently enter and exit trades with your broker like it's your first trade or maybe you're even your 100th trade. You're going to implement a system that allows you to safely and consistently generate income. That way you can begin to live that lifestyle you want without that fear of running out of money. Now the course itself is 8 modules. We made them so each module builds on the one prior. So as you go through the modules, you're getting closer and closer to that end goal, which is a system for consistent income. The first 2 modules, we call these the Option Income Foundation. A lot of people try to build a successful income portfolio, but they build it on a weak foundation of knowledge. And listen, we understand what it's like to learn options for the first time. We've been there. It's why it pays to learn from a team who's gone through this before. The outcome you're going to get in Module 1 is you're going to know exactly how calls and puts work so you can confidently use them in your trades. We're going to teach you the terms you need to know. We're going to show you the terms that are irrelevant. That way you're not getting frustrated or wasting time. In Module 2, you're going to learn what a spread is and how it works. You're going to be filled with all the confidence you need to start building those income systems around that powerful new trade. Now that you've got that solid foundation of options knowledge, we're going to lay out the step-by-step system to placing income trades to generate your options paychecks. Now from here, each step along the way is going to stack probability in your favor and reduce risk. And it all starts with knowing when to trade. So here, we're going to give you complete clarity on market trends. So instead of looking at all the possible trades, we're narrowing our focus. You're going to know whether to go bullish or bearish and even when to not trade. After you know the direction of the market, you're going to want to find stocks that are highly likely to move in the same direction. This is going to stack probability even more for you. So our outcome here is you're going to know how to quickly find the best stocks and indexes to trade that give you the highest probability. Now we've got our list of stocks. Module 5, we're going to narrow it down to the best option candidates that give you the highest probability for profits. So using the rules here, you're going to make sure you're getting paid top dollar for your trade. You're going to make sure that you can make money now even if it goes nowhere. In 6, we're going to continue to stack probability to reduce risk by making sure you set the trade up right. We're going to make sure the trade has the right combination of risk to reward, and you're going to know exactly where to set your strikes. I know a lot of questions about, how did you know where to put the insurance? That's what Module 6 teaches us. How to balance the risk, set the strikes properly for maximum probability and limited risk. Great trades don't happen by accident. They happen because we set them up right from the start. Module 7, now that you got your trade picked out, we're going to show you how to have your plan in place so you know what to do whatever happens. You're going to know where to take profits. You're going to know where to take a loss. You're going to know how to repair a trade if you want to. You will never be frozen like a deer in the headlights again. No matter what the market throws at you, you'll know how to react. And that's going to allow you to trade stress-free. Now that you found the best stock, you got your low risk, high management trade, you mapped out your game plan, now it's time to place the trade. This is going to break down the trade execution phase into simple, repeatable steps. You'll be able to commit that to muscle memory in no time. And we put everything you need into a checklist. That way you never miss a step. When you're first starting out, it's comforting having that security blanket to make sure you did everything correctly. And placing trades to your broker, we know can be intimidating. So I put together some videos from some of the popular brokers out there, but I also have some really detailed instructions for Schwab's Thinkorswim platform. That's what I use. So I have a little bit more experience in that one. Now, before I talk about the price, I want to make this even more low risk for you. We offer a 100% money back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course. If you're not satisfied, notify us within a week of finishing the course. You get your money back. It's no risk. All we ask, give it your best effort. Come to the classes, watch the recordings, do the assignments. We know if you do the work, you will see the results. If you don't do the class, if you don't do the work and say, hey, I just didn't get a chance to watch it, you won't be eligible for a refund. The reason why we do that is I only want to attract those who are excited to jump in, do the work, get the results. I want to attract serious investors. In order to do that, when I make the refund policy like this, that's what I get. People who are serious about jumping in and getting it done. Now remember, you're learning a system that averages about 3% per month. That's 36% per year. And it doesn't take a lot of time to do it every week. I received this from an email from a client who took the course. He said, Ron, I'm writing to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall. Wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade. So far, I've profited on 239 trades of the 350 I've placed. 68% win rate. Profit over 100 grand. What's more exciting is that since my knowledge and experience have grown into taking better risk-reward trades, I've profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. Success rate has been 78% over the last 100 trades, and only take trades with a 2 to 1 or better risk-reward. I want to thank you again for teaching this simple but very effective system. That's awesome. Okay? That is awesome. I will say one thing about Joe. Joe trades a lot more than I do. I trade, 10, 12 trades a month. He's trading like 20 to 30 trades a month. There's nothing wrong with that. He just scales the system up a little bit more. You can trade once a week if you want. So just understand that, you can do whatever you want. Now, before I tell you more about it, I want to point something out. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's not something where you should expect to become a millionaire in the next 24 hours. It's serious. It requires some effort on your parts. If you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not for you. It's for serious people who take their investing seriously, who are willing to put in the time to learn the system. So if you're serious about this, you're ready to jump in, do the work, and get the results, then the Options Paycheck course is perfect. It's step-by-step training to go from option basics to a full, complete income-generating system. Just these training modules alone are worth the price of the course. But we've also got some amazing bonuses for you as well if you order it today. First bonus, we call this the Mastery Package. You're going to get module by module mastery sessions. So each week, you're going to have 2 mastery sessions. You're going to watch the module on your own, and then each week we're going to have mastery sessions so we can discuss the module live. That's going to help you master the course material. Then on Friday, I have an additional live Q&A. So you're going to get 3 live sessions a week, giving you plenty of opportunities to ask questions and get help. The Mastery Package is also going to include private, dedicated email support with me and the team. If you don't already have it, we're going to give you access to VectorVest and Options Pro software. Now the course, and I'll go over the schedule soon, we're going to give you VectorVest and Options Pro for the live curriculum, which starts in November and ends in December. So November, December, you get VectorVest and Options Pro. That way you can test drive the tools that we use. You don't need those tools necessarily, but we're going to let you test drive the best tools in the industry for this. Okay? With the Mastery Package bonus, you're going to have the tools and support you need to master the techniques taught in the course. That way you're ready to place that first income trade in the shortest time possible. And to help you with that, we're also going to give you what we call Implementation Month. You're going to get access to our live trading sessions. So during these sessions, you're going to watch me find, select, set up, and place trades in real time. I'll show you how I manage the existing trades each week. It's a huge bonus. You're going to see the paycheck system in action. If you want to follow along in your own account, by all means. I'm also going to hold live office hours twice a week. Together, we're going to walk through the system step by step. You're basically getting 4 opportunities a week to watch me trade, to watch me set these things up, ask questions, make sure you're implementing this right. Our past students have said this is their favorite part of the course because watching the repetition of constantly looking and putting on trades helped build the process for them. Now, if you want to start with something quick, we also offer the SPX paycheck system. This is where we take the entire concept and we boil it down into something that you can do in 15 minutes a week. It's 1 trade a week on 1 symbol with 1 rule, 1 profit rule, 1 stop criteria. It's easy to do. My teammate Brian taught this to his 14-year-old daughter at the time, and she was able to do the trades. For a lot of the students, this is the system that they use exclusively. So, with recap, today's offer, you get the complete Options Paycheck training program, 8 training modules, the videos, the checklists that go with it, cheat sheets, quizzes, slides, everything. You get the bonus Mastery Package. You get the Implementation Month bonus, the SPX Paycheck system. Total value, that's $54.75. Now, here's the opportunity in front of you today. I'm going to roll up my sleeves, work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. And if you choose to be one of them, together we're going to create an income system in your portfolio. Even if you've never had success with options before, we're going to do it. So if you want to join me, have me take you by the hand, help you install this in your portfolio, then instead of that $5,000, the early bird price of the course is only $1,295. Okay? However, since you came live with me today, I want to kind of pay you for your time a little bit. Here's what we're going to do. If you order before the end of the webinar today, instead of paying $1,295, you can get it for $995. That means you're going to get the full course, 1 year of access to the course, the mastery package, the implementation month, all for $995. That $995 price will only be for those who register before we finish today. Once we're done, the price goes back up to $1,295. So if you're interested in ordering, go to www.optionspaycheck.com. Okay? Now, think of this. I know it's $995, but think of the value of that $995. Money back guarantee, 2 months of training essentially. How much is it going to cost you not to do this? How much money are you going to lose out by trying to do this by trial and error? How much profit are you going to miss out on? How much time and energy are you going to spend doing this on your own? And then ask yourself, how would your life be different if you did it and it worked? Spend these next 2 months, the last 2 months of the year, learn to implement an income system that you can put on in 2026. You know, there's a saying that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Do you know when the second best time is? It's today. It's not too late to begin to prepare yourself for retirement and learn to generate income. This is going to be one of those deciding days in your life. It's going to be the day you take action, set yourself up for secure retirement, or are you going to look back and say, I should have done it then? Don't regret the decision you make. Don't miss this opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with all of you for the next 2 months. So again, go to optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. That $995 price is only available while we're live on the course, on the webinar. And if you've never taken the Options Paycheck course before and you want the lowest possible price, this is the time to do it. $995 is the lowest price for everyone. Okay? Except for one set of people. If you've already taken the Options Paycheck course over a year ago and you're looking for a retake of the course because you just want to get reacquainted with it, get some live training, we do have a special for those of you that have taken the course before. Just give us a shout out in the chat window and we'll tell you about that. So what I want to do before we get to the Q&A section, I want to just cover a couple more important things. I've told you a couple times it's a live course, 2 months, all that kind of stuff. When are the live sessions? So the course actually starts officially November 28th. I'm sorry, October 28th. Right up here. Tuesday, October 28th is when the live welcome session starts. Our first mastery session is module 1 on Wednesday the 29th. Module number 2's mastery session is the 30th Thursday, and October 31st is the open Q&A. So, if you sign up for the course right now, you are going to get access to almost all of the course materials. You're going to get this checklist, the cheat sheets, the modules. The only thing that you won't get yet is access to Options Pro and VectorVest. That starts with the first part of the course when it starts live. We'll do that the first week of the month. Okay? So, here is what you do. You watch the modules on your own time. Then you see, on Wednesday the 29th, we're going to get together live and answer any questions and do a walkthrough of Module 1. You know, just kind of hit the key principles. Thursday, we'll do a walkthrough kind of key principles of Module 2. Then on Friday, any questions you have on Modules 1 and 2. Then for the rest of November, you can see on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have a week where we do 2 modules a week. And then finally, once those modules are done on November 20th, the following week, we are going to start, and you can kind of see it right here, on November 24th, we are going to start live implementation. So you're going to get live implementation on November 24th. I do 2 classes, an SPX class with my clients and stocks. Then on Tuesday the 25th, I show you how to find trades in the off hours with my office hours at 4:30. And then on Fridays at noon, you'll get to see us look for more trades at noon. And you can ask any questions that you have. And then through the month of December, and we kind of wrap it up, by the way, the 19th. That way you're not worried about trying to fit this into Christmas week. We wrap it up there. So 4 weeks of implementation, 4 weeks of learning the system, okay, through November and December. Another client of ours, Greg, he said, prior to the course, I struggled with knowing how to protect myself when the market was moving away. I feared if I didn't fix it, I'd lose more. After taking the paycheck class, I feel better prepared to trade and much more confident. I made a net of $10,000 from my options income trading in that month with 9 winners and 1 loser. I would absolutely recommend the course. It was well done, very educational and informative. It's an excellent educational opportunity I'm thankful I took advantage of. Don't let fear hold you back. You'll make more in the first month than you'd paid to take the course. Of course, that's, dependent on your portfolio size. I was one of the fence sitters who didn't take the course for a long time. When I saw it offered, I lost a lot by not taking it sooner. Thanks for making the training program available. Now, if you're also on the fence about options experience, how much options experience do you need? We pulled our prior class, and 85% of them said that you could be successful with little to no options experience. You may have to watch module 1 and 2 an extra time or two just to kind of get into it, but you can be successful with this. We do have the training that's going to get you up to speed. And just a few more of our clients. Cheryl surpassed her expectations. She doesn't need the money back guarantee. She tripled her investment. We talked about Bruce. Frank said after taking the course, he had a profit of $7,300. Before the course, it was a crapshoot. Cam made the initial investment back so many times over. It's a small part of his portfolio, but the most profitable. Jake said, I finally found a method of making consistent winning trades with a high probability of success. Some of our more recent students, Neville said, thanks for a wonderful course. Within a short time, you've opened our eyes to many things. Your experience, enthusiasm, desire to teach comes through easily. You put a lot of thought into the training manual. Already paid for the tuition with a few Delta 35 SPX trades. He's speaking to our SPX paycheck element. David says it's the best course he's taken in all of his years with VectorVest since '99. You've eliminated my fear of trading options. The manner in which you present the material is truly outstanding. Waleed said the course helps people like me develop self-confidence. If you have fears about options trading, you definitely need the course. Since the start of the course, I've done a few SPX trades with 19 wins, 12 losses, $5,700 gain. So again, get out there, go to optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered. The $9.95 price, it's the lowest for anybody who's never taken the course before. If you do have, if you've taken the course before, we do offer a refresher rate. Talk to us in the chat. We'll give you the link for that. Registration does close October 28th at 10 a.m. Get out there, go to Options Paycheck, sign yourself up. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring in my colleague, I think Steve, and we're going to do a Q&A if you have any last-minute questions or anything that was asked in the chat, and we'll talk about it and see what we need to do.
All right. Nice job, Ron.
Thank you, Steve.
You feel like you ran a marathon?
I do. Every time. It's like, deep breath time.
No, very thorough, very complete, generated a lot of excitement, a lot of questions. And we'll get to a couple of more prominent ones that are going on right now. One, if you happen to be an elite VectorVest subscriber, you are entitled to, of course, your elite status course pricing, which would, in fact, be the $9.95 anytime you want to place that order. So for the rest of folks, they need to get these orders in as quickly as possible to secure that $9.95 price. But if you're an elite, have elite status, have spent that much money with us already, you get the lowest price possible all the time. So bear that in mind. Also, there's been a number of people here who are interested for whatever reason to take a refresher. A lot of times people just really like to go through it again, make sure they're still doing the checklist appropriately, whatever the case may be for them. That price is $4.95. Okay, $4.95 if you want to do a refresher. I think the one stipulation there, if I'm not incorrect, Ron, is it has to have been a year ago or longer.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. So assuming you didn't, just take it this last quarter, which you still have access to all the training at that point anyway. You still have access to all the recordings and everything that you've already experienced right now. So hopefully there'll be no need for that. All right. And then does everything just end in December, Ron? Like, is that a hard drop where, is there any more ongoing coaching or anything like that we might have afterwards?
Well, absolutely. If you're interested, you're going to get in December, you're going to get access to my coaching. I do coaching all year long. You'll get access to my coaching. If you want to continue on with the coaching, we'll talk about how to continue that. But you'll always have access to me via email. I still answer questions from people that took Options Paycheck 5 years ago, 7 years ago. They email me from time to time, asking me questions. You'll always have access to that private email for Options Paycheck, but we'll also kind of give you towards the end of the course, we'll give you how to, if you're interested in following along with the coaching, we can do that too. So even after the course, I'll be still glad to help you, whether it's via email or if you want to, become a member of my coaching group. That way too.
Yeah, how cool is that? How honorable. That's awesome. I love that we offer the continued support to everybody. That's really great. Okay, how about this? So listen, I'm brand new to options. I've heard options are risky, and I've heard I should not look at them or touch them. What would be your quick response to that, Ron?
You just haven't learned how to use options correctly. Options
That's
were
right.
designed to be risk mitigation. So,
That's right.
listen, you're just not setting up the trades right. You can be a good option seller with limited risk, and this is why we've had this so popular for the last decade here at Options or at VectorVest. You're just not doing it right. We can show you how to get that risk good.
It's like basic human nature. You want to go out there and buy the cheapest thing possible, and it's cheap for a reason, and you always lose.
Yeah.
So we teach you how to fix that for sure. But that's one of the really great things about this whole system, guys, is the way that Ron has learned to control risk. It is a novel approach. It's not something that you will have ever seen before. It is very simple, which is also cool. But he controls it two ways. He knows when to take profits, and he knows when to cut losers quick enough. And to get you 3% a month, that's very impressive. So let's see if there's anything else here on my list. What happens, Ron? I think you covered this lightly, but there's a lot of stuff in the webinar. What happens if I have to take a vacation for a week, or I miss a particular session, or whatever as we're going through the course? Is that a deal breaker? Is this thing so intense, that I've got to be at every single one and on time?
Great question, because I actually forgot to mention this. All of our live sessions that we do are recorded. So if you have to miss a week, you can catch up the next week. We record all of those office hours. We record all of the mastery sessions. We record all of the Q&As. Everything that we do is recorded. You can view the recording usually within 6 to 7 hours. We say 24 hours, but that's usually up a lot faster than that. But no, if you have to miss a week, it's not a deal breaker. You could easily catch up via the use of the recording. So everything that is out there is recorded. So you can just very easily catch up.
Yeah. Do you have the ability to just kind of, in detail, just kind of show them it real quick?
Yeah. So let me go down to the options paycheck right here. So if you've never taken a course with VectorVest, this is what the courses look like in our university site. So you can kind of see that over on the left, this is if you sign up right now, you're going to get access to this site. Like I said,
sorry to put you on. Sorry to put you on.
Oh, you there? Okay.
I think I lost you for a second.
All right. It's possible.
I got you now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's possible. The internet here is great. All right. So as I said, if you sign up right now, you're going to get access to this site. You're going to get access to everything in the course except for the software. That starts with the live curriculum. So you'll have to, you don't need it really for the first 2 modules anyway. But this is how we set the course up. We've got everything out here. You can go out there right now. If you sign up, you can watch module 1. Here it is. Okay. You can watch the review questions. You can do the action items walkthrough. You can read the FAQs. Everything through all 8 modules is laid out really, really nice. There's the recorded lessons. After the lessons, we want you to do what's called a review. So there's a quiz you take. There's an action item that we want you to do. That way you're not only just learning stuff, you're actually implementing it at the same time. Now, in the mastery classes, we're going to hit the key parts of the modules. Then we're going to walk you through the mastery stuff. We're going to walk you through the action items. And then you can watch the recordings through here. But everything that you really need is all right here. There's the SPX training module. You're going to get all the recordings. This is the recordings to our Q&A and office hours. This is going to be the recordings from our live sessions that we do, with you in December. You're going to get access to Options Pro starting in, November. There's some tutorials for it. I've got broker help videos. And one thing I always do, we also have live webinar links because we send links out to everybody via email, but these links kind of sometimes get lost. We always have a backup there. One of the other cool things, by the way, is in the resources. This is where you can download all the materials. So you can download the slides and everything we use. One of the things that we've added in the last year, we actually have a trade spreadsheet. So the cool thing about this trade spreadsheet, I'll just kind of give you guys a glimpse of it. And you might become overwhelmed by this. Don't. It's a step-by-step thing. And what you basically can do is log every one of your trades. So you can see I've taken 110 trades this year. It says 114, but it starts on row 4. So I've taken 110 trades this year. You can see that I still have some open. I still have quite a few open trades right now on, but everything fills in for you. You put in a certain date, you put in that, it's going to calculate your risk reward automatically for you. It's going to calculate the number of contracts you should trade based on your account size. It's going to tell you if the trade is okay to take. It's going to calculate your portfolio risk for you. And then it also keeps track, of all the trades you've done. So far this year, I've got a 13.3% return right now on my stock trades. Not bad, right? If I go to the right, I can see that I have a 58% win rate. I've made 13 grand. If I look at my index trades, right? Same thing. I can see I've made, $8,000 so far in my index trades. So I showed you guys earlier, 21,000 in profits. That's where that's based off of. That's my closed trades as of right now. So that kind of guides you through everything. It's a really nice feature to kind of help you get things going right.
Awesome. One final thing, and then I'll let you close it up however you like. Brokers. Do we have a preferred broker? Can you do this in any brokerage these days? Are there any limitations there that I should be aware of?
Well, we don't have a specific broker. I happen to use Thinkorswim from Schwab. It's nice because it allows you to do some complex orders. If you want like full maximum almost automation, you're going to want to use like Thinkorswim, TradeStation, Tasty Trade is good. Interactive Brokers has a full feature. But I've done this with Fidelity. I've done it with E-Trade. Any broker is really going to have the materials for this. The one thing that I'm going to show you about when we do this is I'm not going to teach you anything that is like proprietary. So yes, we have software that's going to help automate the task, but everything we do is using basically public options analytics. So you could take everything I teach you in Options Paycheck and put it in Fidelity. Or do it with, E-Trade or Robinhood, I think actually even has a decent options platform. So no, like I said, there are brokers that, can make this a little bit more automated, like your Thinkorswims, your TradeStations, your Tasty Trades, and your IBs. But any broker could help set these trades up and do the basics that you need.
All right, awesome. Close it up any way you see fit, Ron. Nice job.
All right, well, thank you, Steve, and thank you all for attending with me. I appreciate all of your attention here this last hour and a half. I hope you got some good training out of it either way. And really what I hope is that we can spend the next 2 months together really implementing and learning how to do this in your portfolio. Because let me tell you, as somebody that came from a day trader where I spent hours and hours in front of my screens every day, this has been really a game changer for me. And it's been my life for the past 15 years of doing options. So I'm very, very confident that I can teach you how to do this correctly and to make money. So remember, you've got the out plan, you've got the money back guarantee, the money back guarantee that you have on the course. So give it a shot. Try it. Keep an open mind. Let us show you how this can work. Okay? All right, with that, I'll let you guys go. Have a great rest of your day. I appreciate it, and best of success to you. And I look forward to seeing you in another couple of weeks live in our Options Paycheck experience. Thanks again, everybody.